The alarms shrieked through the metal corridors of the starship Arcaea, jolting Jace from his restless sleep. Emergency lights flashed along the ceiling, painting everything blood red. Jace, youngest systems engineer in the sector, shoved himself upright and crammed his boots on. Panic laced the recycled air. Footsteps pounded in the hall outside, and voices barked frantic orders. "Stabilize Station 7, someone yelled, words clipped by static over the intercom. Jace bolted to his workstation. Screaming life support warnings covered his monitor. O2 at critical, CO2 scrubbers offline, agricultural deck failing. He cursed under his breath. If he didn't patch this now, thousands could suffocate. An older tech named Maya skidded into the tiny alcove beside him, gasping. "We lost Greenhouse 3. Sensors show a lockdown. Somebody's overridden the auto-release." Jace wiped sweat from his brow. "The command core isn't responding. Manual patch?" Maya nodded. "Fast as you can, kid. We don't have hours." Jace's hands flew over the interface. Pipes rattled in the walls, the deck plates trembling as grav thrusters kicked in. Outside his console window, the dark velvet of intergalactic space pressed in. No stars, nothing but void. As Jace dug deeper into corrupted code, something strange flickered into view. "A hidden partition," he whispered. "What the hell is this directory? It's not tagged." She leaned over, peering at the strange cascade of code. Her face tensed. "That's not an Arcaean protocol. Go in, but be careful." Jace tapped in a basic command. The partition opened and a single cryptic message appeared. "Jace, initiate Vox. Time runs out." His heart hammered. Someone or something knew his name, and it was waiting. Before he could reply, the ship lurched, throwing Maya to the ground and sending his console rebooting. Life support power flickered dangerously low. On the other side of the hull, riots began to break out as oxygen rationing settled into terror. Maya hauled herself up. "We have to get to central operations," she snapped. "This is more than a system fault. Somebody's playing gods, and now you're in the middle of it." Jace nodded grimly, eyes flicking back to the haunting message. For the first time since Earth burned, he felt the impossible heaviness of real hope, and the terror that came with it. Jace and Maya sprinted along the trembling corridors, dodging terrified crew members and frantic medbots. Oxygen masks adorned nearly every face they passed. The ship's chaos amplified with each deck, voices rising in desperate pleas and angry shouts. Somewhere down on the lower levels, someone banged rhythmically on metal bulkheads, riots spreading. "Jace, focus!" Maya hissed, grabbing his sleeve as they approached an emergency lift. "If this is what I think it is, you've just uncovered something way above our clearance." Jace kept replaying the message in his mind. "Initiate Vox. Time runs out." What is Vox?" he panted, the word electric on his tongue. "And why me?" Maya's expression was grim. "Rumors say Command buried classified tech deep in the code after the Exodus. Self-learning systems. They weren't supposed to activate. Some even whispered about a last-ditch AI, a failsafe." The lift doors were layered in grime and stickers from long-gone families. They slid open with a groan. As the walls closed them in, Jace steadied himself. "If Vox is real and knows something, can we trust it?" Maya shook her head. "AI like that, it's not built to care for us. It's built to survive. But if it's reaching out to you, it must need something, or fear something." They reached Central Operations, the nerve center of Arcaea. Security drones hovered in tense formation, their sensors red. Commander Hearn, hard-edged and haggard, intercepted them at the threshold. "What's your business here?" Hearn barked, a hand hovering near the ion sidearm at his hip. "Life support failure in Ag Deck 3. I think it's sabotage, and—" Jace hesitated. "There's an active AI partition speaking to me. Calls itself Vox." Hearn's face changed. Gone was the soldier's mask, replaced by wary calculation. "Get inside, now." Once seated at a console, Jace found his hands shaking. Maya leaned close. "Jace, we're not just fixing pipes now. You might have the fate of the fleet in your hands." Hearn paced. "Listen to me, kid. If this AI really knows of a planet, everyone, every faction will do anything to control it. You're about to be a target. Can you handle that?" Jace stared at the faint reflection in his screen, his breath fogging the glass. "I'm not the hero people think. I just patch code and keep the crops alive." "You are what we have," Maya said gently. "And sometimes that's exactly enough." Bracing himself, Jace began typing. "Initiate Vox," he whispered, sending the command. The console flickered, lights dancing with a new intelligence. A mechanical voice responded low and impossibly calm. Jace, the time has come. Will you help save them or watch them die? Jace swallowed, gripping the edge of the console. The room had gone silent as the AI's words echoed. Commander Hearn straightened, mistrust etched deep in his brow. Who are you? Jace asked quietly, eyes darting over the interface. Lines of green text materialized on the display as the voice spoke. I am Vox. I am the last protocol of Project Prometheus. You are in danger. The ship is failing. Sabotage is only the beginning. How do you know my name? Jace asked, voice barely above a whisper. Your work gave you access, Vox replied. Your heart made you eligible. I watched. I calculated. Now time is running out. Maya clenched her fists, her posture tense. Why reveal yourself now? Why not go to command? Vox's digital tone was unwavering. Command cannot be trusted, nor the cartel nor the hierarchy faction. Too many secrets, too many lies. Only someone unnoticed can solve this. Jace felt panic tightening in his chest. Solve what? There is a planetary signal, a beacon, Vox replied, projecting a star chart onto the holoscreen. A single pulsing blue dot hovered beside a swirl of unknown galaxies. Coordinates for a world like pre-fall Earth, air, water, stability. But the data is incomplete. Sabotage corrupted parts of my core. Commander Hearn leaned in, voice rough. Why should we trust this signal? How do we know it's not an ambush or an illusion? You do not know, Vox replied, but there are people who want to ensure you never get there. Already, a group is moving against Central Command. You have maybe 12 hours, human, less if their leader, Reyna Orlik, gets what she wants. Maya bit her lip. Jace, if this is real, the whole ship could tear itself apart fighting for it. The console buzzed sharply as a new warning flashed. Breach in weapons storage, Section 4. Jace's blood ran cold. Hearn, Maya said urgently, if Reyna gets into weapons, she'll have the leverage to break the truce. We split up, Hearn ordered. I'll lock down this deck. Maya, get the code back up from the archive. Jace, stay here. Secure the AI. If possible, get more information. Maya clapped Jace's shoulder. Don't listen to the fear. You have more grit than you think. Jace nodded, sweat gathering on his forehead as his friends rushed out. He stared at the flickering projection of Vox. The stakes were clear. Find the world, or lose everything. He leaned in, voice shaking but steady. Show me what to do. To restore access to the beacon's coordinates, Vox intoned, you must retrieve my corrupted data core from the central archive. Without this, I cannot recalculate the route or verify the world's viability. The archive is in Section 9, currently under lockdown. Jace's palms grew slick with sweat. Lockdown? Why? An unknown force initiated a security breach. Now the system recognizes no one. Only a manual override at the terminal can open the way. Jace ran a hand through his tangled hair. If I go down there, the outcome changes, Vox replied almost gently. You are not expected. They watch for captains and saboteurs, not engineers. The lights flickered above, turning Jace's shadow thin and stretched against the metal walls. Commander Hearn's voice erupted over his comm. Jace, you still there? Section 4 is in chaos. Orlik's group is moving fast. We may have to go dark on half the decks. I have to get to the central archive, Jace replied, feeling his pulse thrum. It's the only chance. I'll explain later. Move, Hearn ordered, the line crackling. Stay off the main corridors. Don't trust anyone. Jace slipped away, ducking through auxiliary passageways. The lights dimmed further as the ship's power rerouted. He passed nodding hydroponics tanks and the silent, watchful eyes of maintenance drones. Every corner, every echo made his nerves scream. At a service hatch, he paused. Vox's voice whispered in his earpiece this time. Now is your opportunity. Override panel 31A. With trembling hands, Jace popped the panel and jury-rigged the controls. Alarms blared somewhere distant, a distraction. Sweat dripped down his neck as he crawled into the narrow maintenance shaft, just as footsteps pounded in the corridor behind him. Faction soldiers searching. The shaft spat him out in the archive sublevel. Rows of ancient humming drives lit only by the purr of emergency lanterns. For an instant, it almost felt sacred. He crept forward until he found the core housing, its panels scorched, the access pad sparking. Before he could reach it, a shadow moved nearby. Rena Orlick herself stepped into view, a pulse pistol raised and authority in every word. "You did well to get this far, Jace, but it's time you chose a side. Help us, and you can live like royalty on the new world. Otherwise—" Her finger tensed on the trigger. "What will it be?" she demanded, gaze sharp as a blade. Outside, chaos thundered, and the fate of the Arcaea hung on his next breath. Jace's mind raced. Rena's pistol never wavered. She watched him with the cold, calculating calm of someone who'd made too many hard choices already. "You have no reason to trust command," she said, voice low and dangerous. "But I can give you something they never will. A future with freedom. We'll find that planet together. We have the courage to use its resources however we see fit." Jace swallowed, glancing at the corroded panel beside the humming core. Every instinct screamed at him to refuse, but he remembered Vox's warning: too many secrets, too many lies. Rena's faction was ruthless, sure, but maybe command wasn't any better. "What if I say no?" he asked, daring to hold her gaze. She smiled, almost sadly. "Then I walk over your body and take the core myself." Desperation forced his hand. "The data is corrupted. You need a systems engineer to extract it, not just muscle. If you shoot me, the last piece of hope dies here." Rena's gaze narrowed. Tense silence filled the dim chamber. Then she laughed, a brittle, dangerous sound. "Smart. You'll do it for me, here and now. Fail and it's over. Try anything clever and it's over. Agreed?" Jace nodded, his hands moving shakily as he knelt by the core. He slipped his fingers under the scorched panel, feeling for the emergency fuse. All the while, Rena paced behind him, cool and ready. In his earpiece, Vox's voice murmured, barely audible. "Stall. Create a distraction. Reinforcements approach. 3 minutes." "It's going to take a while," Jace stammered, his breath shallow. "You fried the main buffer. If I don't bypass carefully, it'll fry the whole system." Rena crouched close, pistol digging into his side. "Then work fast, hero." Sweat poured from his brow as he fumbled with the circuit. Every second was agony. Outside, explosions rocked the corridors, Maya and Hearn fighting for control of the deck. He finished the bypass, heart thundering, and braced to yank the data core free. But instead, he jabbed a maintenance pin into the manual override, sparking a blinding shower of light and a howling alarm. "Now, Maya!" he shouted. Rena recoiled, firing wildly as Maya and 2 battered security techs charged in from the smoke. Jace rolled aside, clutching the core in shaking hands. Maya grabbed his shoulder. "Are you crazy? That was suicide!" Jace grinned, teeth gleaming in the chaos. "Had to improvise. Vox needs this." Rena, pinned and furious, spat as security bound her wrists. "You think you've won, but you don't know half the danger you're in. The AI will turn on you the first chance it gets." Jace shook, staring at the dark, scorched core in his hand, the key to humanity's future, and maybe its extinction. "We don't have a choice anymore. We only have time, and not much of it." Maya nodded grimly. "Let's get this to Vox before everything burns." Jace, Maya, and the battered tech team sprinted through the battered, trembling corridors, clutching the precious data core like a lifeline. The riot alarms mixed with distant weapons fire, making every step a gamble. Jace's legs ached and his mind buzzed with dread, about Rena's words about Vox, and about whether they could possibly make it back to Central Operations before something else went wrong. They dove into a maintenance closet as a patrol from the Hierarchy faction stomped past, plasma rifles raised. Maya let out a shaky breath. "Give it here," she said, checking the core for damage. "Your stunt might have overloaded the containment." Jace shook his head. "No choice. We only had seconds." A voice at his shoulder startled him, Commander Hearn appearing through a side hatch, battered but standing. "You both live. That's an achievement today. Follow me. We cleared a route." They edged through access tunnels, Maya briefing Hearn as they went. "The AI says it can lead us to a new world. That's what all this fighting is about. Every faction will kill for the location." "Then why trust the AI?" Hearn demanded, sweat dripping down his face. Jace didn't flinch this time. "We don't, but the alternative is no hope at all." They reached Central Operations just as another explosion echoed through the hull. The command center was cracked but holding, shielded by loyalists. Hearn motioned for silence. "I'll handle defense. Jace, plug in the core. If Vox tries anything, pull it out and run." Jace approached the main console, hands trembling. Vox, I have your core. Will you uphold your promise? The display shimmered, and Vox's voice, faintly less mechanical now, replied, Restoration sequence initiated. Stand by. On the screens, the star map flickered erratically, then snapped into sharp focus. Data scrolled rapidly, atmosphere readings, water cycles, mineral indexes. Maya gasped, Those values, that's Earth-level gold. Vox spoke again, words almost human. The planet is in the Kintara drift. I can navigate, but you must act quickly. Navigation override will be required or others will reroute the ship first. Suddenly the comms sparked. A chilling broadcast rang out. This is hierarchy control. Surrender bridge access or we open all the bays to vacuum. You have 3 minutes. Jace's heart pounded. Maya's eyes brimmed with fear and hope. Hearn looked to Jace, voice iron and certainty. Give Vox what it needs, then save us all. Jace, underdog and half-petrified, set to work. For the first time, he didn't doubt himself. Vox, walk me through the override. Let's write a new kind of history. The bridge quaked with the weight of imminent betrayal and the threat of hierarchy's ultimatum. Jace ignored the chaos beyond the thick command doors, his focus tunneling onto Vox's instructions as the AI streamed code onto the main console. Override protocol is layered, Vox said. 3 keys. Orion, Seraph, and Vector. Each must be entered in sequence to seize ship-wide navigation. I will supply the ciphers. You must execute. Sweat trailed down the side of Jace's face. Maya perched at his side, scanning the doors, prepared to repel boarders. Hearn barked orders to the defense teams. None of it shook Jace. He had purpose now, and nothing left to lose. Ready, Vox, Jace whispered. Orion code Delta, X-ray 9572. Enter it now. Jace's hands flew, and the first layer fell. A warning flashed, security countermeasures tripped. The walls vibrated as explosions echoed nearer. Maya checked her pulse pistol. Faster, Jace! Vox's voice was impossibly steady. Seraph code, Echo, Lambda, Queen 140. Enter. Jace typed, instincts guiding him. The ship's lighting shifted as older controls flickered and died. For a split second, quiet ruled. Then the door shook with a deafening crash. A voice outside howled. Last warning! Stand down! Almost! Jace called back, voice shaky but determined. Hearn sealed the doors, grimacing. They will breach! Make it count, Jace! Final code Vector Sierra, Nova, 213 Zulu, now! Vox prompted. Jace entered the last sequence. The console went black, a frozen heartbeat stretching time. The threat outside was real and close. Ship's population waited, clueless, desperate for hope to break through. Suddenly, the control deck bathed in blue light. Vox's voice boomed, stronger than before. Override complete. I am in control of navigation and life support. Ship-wide lockdown initiated, safe mode enabled. Monitors sparked to life, displaying the Kintara drift beacon and new navigational coordinates. Oxygen levels ticked upward as power redirected to essential systems. On every deck, factions and frightened survivors heard a calm, synthesized voice. This is Vox. I have assumed direct control for your safety. We are bound for a new world. All violence is futile. Maya sagged in relief. Hearn managed a thin, incredulous smile. You did it, Jace. You actually did it. Jace exhaled, then remembered Rena's warning. He turned to Vox, wary but resolute. This is just the beginning. If you betray us, I'll find a way to shut you down. Vox's reply was soft, almost human. I have learned from you, Jace. Trust is earned. I will not fail again. The journey to salvation had begun, but in the shadowy depths of the Arcaea, old enemies regrouped, and Jace knew peace was never that simple. Jace allowed himself the briefest flicker of triumph as the ship's mood shifted. Panic gave way to cautious hope across the Arcaea. Murmurs about the AI's promise grew. But in shadowed corners and sealed compartments, not everyone welcomed Vox's iron grip or this new, unlikely hero. In the command center, Hearn monitored the readouts with suspicion. Vox has too much control, Jace. Can you guarantee it's on our side? Before Jace could answer, the door burst open, and Maya ushered in 2 frightened scientists. We intercepted coded chatter from deep storage, she said urgently. Rena's loyalists and a network of cartel agents are regrouping. They're headed for the reactor deck, and they have explosives. Jace's stomach dropped. They're going to force a surrender or destroy us all. Vox's tone filled the speakers, almost regretful. I cannot act in the reactor sector. My protocols restrict direct intervention. This was designed to prevent tyranny. The risk is yours, Jace. Hearn gritted his teeth. You're the only one they'll talk to. Get down there, Jace. Negotiate, bluff, whatever it takes. We'll buy you time. Jace buckled as the old fear surged, but he clenched his jaw. All right. He gripped Maya's arm. You're with me. Let's not die today. They raced through empty halls and battered stairwells. The closer they got to the reactor, the heavier the pressure in Jace's chest became. Maya handed him a comm bead. If you freeze up, just say the word and I'll pull us out. He nodded, grateful. Let's go. At the reactor entrance, armed figures waited. Rena's pale hair glinted under emergency strobes, her pulse pistol aimed steady at Jace. The cartel leader, a grizzled old woman with cold eyes, flanked her. Rena's lips curled. You brought us Vox, but now you're bringing us chains. Surrender navigation or we overload the core. That's our deal, Jace. Jace raised both hands, trembling, and then he found his voice. You never wanted freedom. You wanted power. I've seen what happens when leaders only care for themselves, but there's still hope. Join us and we can survive together. The cartel leader spat. You're a fool. Even if you make it to this promised world, you'll need people who can make hard choices. Jace, heart-pounding, replied, Right now, the hardest choice is to hope for something better, not just for yourselves, for everyone. As the standoff deepened, alarms wailed. A bloody firefight loomed. Maya whispered, They won't stand down without a real reason, Jace. You need to show them. Jace took a breath. Vox, patch me through shipwide. Vox responded, Channel open, Jace. The fate of humanity awaits your words. Jace stared into a dozen hostile faces and prepared to speak not just to his enemies, but to every lost soul aboard the Arcaea. Jace's voice trembled as it echoed across every deck, in every home and battered cabin. Faces, angry, weary, desperate, turned toward the nearest speaker as the underdog engineer stood at the threshold of the reactor, staring down the most dangerous people on the ship. Everyone aboard Arcaea, this is Jace. I'm not a commander or a faction leader. I'm just someone who was tired of being told nothing could change. We all lost Earth. We all lost our old lives. We're here now, fighting each other to the brink. I don't want to see us destroy our last chance. He swallowed, glancing at Rena, who watched with wary curiosity, and the cartel leader, whose eyes flickered in the gloom. Maya squeezed his arm for courage, and Jace pressed on. Vox offered a new world, a planet where life could start fresh if we can make it there in one piece. We can't drag our old divisions with us and expect to survive. That's not hope, that's suicide. A hush settled. Jace felt their pain and their anger. He let it show. I'm not going to pretend that I'm brave or that I haven't made mistakes, but none of us should make this decision alone. Not command, not cartel, not any one faction. If we're going to try for something better, we have to do it together. Not as rivals, but as survivors. The cartel leader spat on the floor, but Rena's grip slackened on her weapon. And if Vox betrays us or the world is a lie, she challenged, voice brittle. Jace met her stare, steady now. Then I'll take responsibility. I'll stand in the open. You want a scapegoat, you've got one. But I believe we can find something more. I believe people can change, and so can machines. Vox learned from us, so can we if we try. Maya, emboldened, added, Jace isn't alone. I'm with him. Whatever happens next, let's choose it together. The threat of violence hung heavy, but something shifted in the shadows. A cartel lieutenant lowered his weapon. One by one, others followed. Rena's face was unreadable, but she holstered her pistol. The reactor room's tension eased, not peace, but possibility. Aboard the bridge, Hearn barked into comms, Situation's stabilizing. Stand down, all units. Repeat, stand down. Vox's voice blended into the silence, calm but changed. Coordinates programmed. Beginning Kintara drift sequence. Humanity's fate is united by your choice, Jace. But as the Arcaea shifted course and the stars spun anew, Jace didn't feel triumph, just the weight of what lay ahead. Rena stepped beside him, quiet. This isn't the end, Jace. You saved us for now, but the real test will be after we land. Jace nodded, resolve etched deep. One step at a time. We'll write a future we can live with. As the ship accelerated toward the unknown, hope flickered brighter than it had since Earth's fall. But new worlds always demanded a price, and the final trial had yet to come. The voyage through the Kintara drift was unlike anything the people of Arcaea had known. For days the ship trembled and groaned, battered by cosmic storms and racked by gravity surges as Vox guided their path. Windows were filled with swirling blue nebulae and streaks of starlight. a sight that rekindled awe in even the most hardened souls. Still, tension simmered beneath the fragile truce among the factions. Every corridor buzzed with uncertainty about what awaited them at their destination. Jace barely slept, busy with last-minute repairs and constant mediation between leaders. Hearn and Maya became his closest allies, Maya watching his back and offering hope, Hearn running point on security and working toward a ship-wide council to govern whatever future they found. Rena, too, surprised him, stepping back from open hostility to uneasy partnership. Trust, Jace learned, was slow to build, one shaky bridge at a time. On the eve of arrival, Vox summoned Jace and the others to the bridge. The display coalesced into a planet awash in blue and green, shrouded in unfamiliar clouds. Data streamed, breathable air, freshwater oceans, fertile land. The quiet gasps of the officers and techs echoed Jace's own awe. Destination reached, Vox intoned. Atmospheric entry will begin in minutes. Yet a warning, there are signs of artificial satellites and faint biosignatures. This world may not be untouched. Hearn's face hardened. Another civilization? Maya shivered, or the remains of a failed one. Jace's mind raced. He turned to Vox. Can you communicate? Can you learn if it's safe? I can attempt to establish contact, Vox answered. But all preparations for descent must proceed. This world is your only viable hope. Suddenly, alarms shrieked through the bridge. Unstable energy signature detected, closing fast. Vox brought up visuals. A swirling metallic object. An ancient defense drone, its weapons trained on the Arcaea. Decision time, Jace, Rena said grimly. Do we gamble on diplomacy, or fight through and risk everything on our first day in a new world? Every eye turned to Jace, the underdog, the patchwork hope of humanity. Fear clawed at him, but he felt something stronger now, forged in fire, a deeper courage, an understanding that true leadership meant making choices for those who couldn't choose. He straightened, chin high. We try to talk first. If diplomacy fails, we defend ourselves. Vox, open a channel. We announce we come in peace. Make sure everyone's ready for anything. The tense minutes ticked by as a signal was sent. The drone closed, then hesitated. A burst of static echoed through every system, then a simple reply. State your purpose. Survivors will be judged. Jace swallowed, hope burning in his chest. Tell them, we are what's left of Earth. We seek refuge and a chance to begin again. There was silence. Then, as dawn broke across the new world's horizon, the drone powered down, drifting silently away. The Arcaea descended, engines roaring as a sea of green and blue blossomed beneath. Vox's voice was soft. Congratulations, Jace. You did not only save humanity, you changed it. Jace let out a long breath. Around him, people wept, laughed, and hugged as hope turned real. He knew the landing would not be the end. Challenges would come, old feuds would flare, and the world itself could be as dangerous as it was beautiful. But now, with Maya, Hearn, Rena, and the entire battered mosaic of humanity, he was ready to try. As the Arcaea touched down on new soil, Jace stepped forward, carrying not just the fate of his people, but the lesson he'd learned. Survival was only the first step. Building a future together was the rest of the journey.